Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. This is Christopher Moldong of Chris's Storytelling Corner. Today I'm going to do a movie review for Thor Ragnarok. Next time I'll have a manga review for Skip Beat Volume 3 and 4, a movie review for The Breadwinner, and a movie review for the Justice League. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismoldon.com. You can buy my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Convict Kingdom, for $4.99. Also, for $2.99, you can buy my short story collection, a collection of 10 short stories in the horror, fantasy, and realistic fiction genres. Check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided on the description. I'd also really like to hear from you guys as well, so leave any comments. If you have any recommendations for movies or want me to do a movie review for any particular movie, just tell me in the comments, and make sure to subscribe and share this channel as well. So the way that this works is I'm going to give a detailed recap of Thor Ragnarok. So just to tell you, there will have spoilers. I'm going to spoil the whole movie. And afterwards, I'm going to give my thoughts on the movie, the characters, the plot, and other aspects of the movie as well. As far as an initial grade for it, I give it an A. That was really well done. It's different. And out of the three Thor movies, I thought it's the best one. So, if you haven't watched it, if you like Thor, it's a good movie, really good movie. And if you're a fan of Marvel, I think you'll greatly enjoy this. I liked it quite a bit. Not much to really criticize either, to be honest with you. So, let's get right to it. Let's recap Thor Ragnarok. So 2 years after the Battle of Sokovia in Avengers Age of Ultron, Thor has been searching for the Infinity Stones but is unsuccessful. And the story actually begins with him imprisoned by the fire demon Surtur, who reveals that Thor's father Odin is no longer on Asgard, and that Asgard will soon be destroyed in the prophesied Ragnarok. Once Surtur unites his crown with the eternal flame that burns in Odin's vault, that's when it's all going to happen. But Thor defeats Surtur and claims his crown, and Thor thinks that Ragnarok is behind him. So Thor returns to Asgard to find Loki, who is posing as Odin. He forces Loki to help him find their father, and with some help from Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange on Earth, they locate Odin in Norway. Odin explains that he's dying and that his passing will allow his firstborn child, Hela, to escape from a prison she was sealed in long ago. Hela used to be a leader of Asgard's armies, and she conquered the 9 realms with Odin, but she was imprisoned and written out of history after Odin feared that she became just way too ambitious. Odin then dies. Hela, who is released from her imprisonment, appears, and she destroys Thor's hammer Mjolnir, which is crazy because, like in Age of Ultron, for example, when they're all trying to even just hold the hammer. I mean, there are those that can't even hold a hammer, save for possibly Captain America. He might be worthy enough. And the Hulk, I know, has done it just with sheer brute strength. But otherwise, it's Mjolnir. I think I'm pronouncing. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but this is like the hammer of all hammers. So Thor and Loki attempt to flee through Bifrost Bridge, but Hela pursues them and forces them out into space to die. Hela arrives in Asgard, destroys its army, and the Warriors 3 resurrects the ancient dead who once fought with her, including her giant wolf Fenris, and gives the Asgardian Scourge, and actually appoints him as the new executioner. He is the one watching over the bridge for after what's his name kind of just vanished. The previous guy, Heimdall. My bad. Took me a while to get his name down. Then it turns out she plans to use the Bifrost to expand Asgard's empire. But Heimdall actually steals the sword that controls the bridge and hides away with the rest of Asgard's citizens. So, Thor pretty much lands onto Sakaar, which is a garbage planet surrounded by a bunch of wormholes, captured by a bounty hunter named Scrapper 142, and taken to serve as a gladiator to the ruler of the planet, the Grand Master. Um, and it turns out that Loki is already one of the Grand Master's, like, one of his, like, right hand guys or whatever. Confidants or something of that sort. Thor recognizes that Scrapper 142 is a Valkyrie, who was a legendary, well, they were actually the legendary force of female warriors who were killed defending Asgard from Hela long ago. Thor is forced to compete in the Grandmaster's Contest of Champions, and it turns out he faces the Hulk. Thor, though, during the battle was actually able to summon lightning, no hammer needed. And Thor almost defeats the Hulk, but the Grandmaster pretty much sabotages the fight and gets Hulk the win. Hulk's still enslaved, and he attempts to convince Hulk and 142 to help him escape and save Asgard, but both of them don't want to. Thor manages to escape the palace and finds the Quinjet that brought Hulk to Sakaar. Hulk follows Thor to the Quinjet, where a recording of Natasha Romanoff makes him transform back into Bruce Banner for the first time since Sokovia. It's been years since Hulk has been turned back to Bruce Banner. I mean, Bruce Banner has been the Hulk for years. So the Grandmaster orders 142 and Loki to find Thor and Hulk. But the pair come to blows, and Loki forces her 142 to relive the deaths of her fellow Valkyrie. So 142 decides to help Thor, and she takes Loki captive to prove her goodwill. Loki, though, provides the group with the means to steal one of the Grandmaster's ships. They then liberate the other gladiators, who led by Korg and I think it's Meek. I call him Meek. They stage a rebellion. Loki tries to betray Thor again to gain a reward from the Grandmaster, but Thor already knows it's going to happen and thwarts his attempt and leaves him behind. But Korg and the gladiators soon find him and take him with them. Thor, Bruce Banner, and 142 escape through a wormhole to Asgard, where Hela's forces are attacking Heimdall and the citizens of Asgard. Banner comically becomes a Hulk again and fights Fenris, while Thor and 142 battle Scourge and the resurrected warriors. But Scourge kind of just sits back, really. Loki and the gladiators then arrive to help, and the citizens board their large ship, and Scourge sacrifices himself to allow them to escape. Thor faces Hela, loses an eye, and then has a vision of Odin that helps him realize only Ragnarok can stop Hela. So while Hela is distracted, Loki locates Surtur's crown and places it in the eternal flame. Another thing that Loki does is he looks at the Tesseract. I mean, you see him just staring at the Tesseract, so that's kind of important too. Surtur is reborn and destroys Asgard, and seemingly kills Hela as well. You think he does, but who knows, you know? Thor and the others escape with Asgard's remaining citizens and aboard the Grand Master's vessel. Thor is crowned king, decides to take his people to Earth. Um, and actually, Loki, he meets Loki on the ship too, who he thinks is like a fake Loki and turns out to be the real Loki. So in a mid-credit scene, they come across a large spacecraft, and in the post-credits scene, the Grand Master encounters a group of his former subjects who are still rebelling. So as that mid-credit scene goes, it looks like that ship is Thanos' ship. So, some thoughts. Um, Thor went through some changes here. I mean, physically, he went through a lot of changes. His hair got cut. He loses an eye. He loses Mjolnir. Um, he gains the crown. He seems to be cool with Loki at this time, but that's always very up in the air. The relationship is always friendly at times, enemies most of the time. Um, he still has his ego and narcissism, though. I mean, it really is just like when he's talking to the Hulk, it's like, no, I'm the strongest. Out of all the Avengers, I'm the strongest. He has to be the alpha male, the jock, the captain of the football team type guy. He has to be the guy, the strongest, and um, when he loses that, especially when he loses his hammer, it's kind of like if you want to look at like go like biblical with like Samson getting his own haircut, but then like he gets help from. Well, it's kind of funny because Thor actually finds help from Odin. In a sense, Samson found strength through God, got his strength back, and whatnot, and the area around them actually got destroyed. Hey, wow, they're very similar. I just thought of that Thor Samson comparison. I did not think about. I did not realize how similar that was. I wonder if they got the same idea. Um, reading Samson or something like that. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting where Thor goes from here because he's kind of adrift in space, heading to Earth. His girlfriend's well, actually, he kind of broke up with what's her name? Played by Natalie Portman. Well, his like ex-girlfriend, and he's heading to Earth, and he's the king of Asgard at this point of the story. But now he just ran into this like giant ship. So, I mean, we're heading down towards the Infinity Wars right now. I mean, we're like firmly there, pretty much. And besides Black Panther, I mean, we're we pretty much just have one more stop until the Infinity Wars. If I'm not mistaken, it's gonna be Black Panther, and then Infinity Wars in what, like May or something like that. So that's gonna be pretty cool. I imagine Thor is gonna play a big role there. Um, see how that goes. In this movie, he was particularly funny too. He broke the fourth wall a million times. This whole movie, I mean, they broke the fourth wall a bunch of times, and just, I mean, as a movie itself, it just kind of made fun of itself. It's kind of like, oh, I'm chained up and I'm spinning. And I'm trying to, you're trying to tell me this stuff, but I'm not really looking at you. And it's just kind of like on the nose humor, it's it, it's like, oh, I'm the strongest. No, Thor's the strongest. Or excuse me, Hulk's the strongest. It's like it's kind of like this joke. You, you know, kind of like this inside joke, I guess, that plays on like Thor's egotism and narcissism. You know. Odin, he wasn't in it for very long, but he was definitely a presence throughout the whole movie. Um, you know, he in the comics, man, this guy is so powerful. For him to die, um, I kind of wonder also, like, are they gonna continue Thor like after the Infinity Wars, or is the Thor saga kind of done? They'll probably revisit it or reboot it in the future, but that's pretty definitive as far as like, you know, Odin's dead, and Thor kind of has to be on the crown unless like Loki takes the crown and whatnot. But like there was some closure here. It looks like he cared about Thor. It looks like he cared about Loki too, and he kept this big dark secret about Hela from both of them that they probably should have known or should have been told about. Loki was Loki, I mean, he was the trickster, the betrayer, the ally. Um, I mean, when the Hulk grabbed Thor and started smashing him against the ground multiple times, Loki reveled in that. But then at the very end, he helped him too. I can't help but imagine that he's going to be just this big presence, an important presence in the Infinity Wars as well. I have to assume that he took the Tesseract because, like, the fact of the matter is, how did he get on the ship when, like, the Tesseract has is it the time stone? It has one of the stones that can manipulate like time and space, and so that kind of explains how he even got on the ship if he can just like travel through time and space quickly. So it has to be greatly assumed that he got that Infinity Stone and is holding on to it right now. And if indeed that is Thanos' ship, Thanos is close to getting an Infinity Stone right then and there. If that's not the case, the planet or Asgard just got destroyed, and the Infinity Stone is just floating through space. So, unless maybe Hela got it or something like that, and she's alive or something to that nature. For the most part, I have to assume that Loki got it. He played his role well. Um, like I said, he was really funny. Um, he he's just really defined as to who he is. It's just kind of like, oh, it's a Grand Master. Okay, I'm gonna befriend this guy and betray Thor. It's like, okay, like that. That's like his um his default to kind of just be, a little more mischievous, a little more deceptive, and to betray even his brother. His it's kind of like not his real brother, but Um, but at the end of the day, like he still was a good guy. So he plays a really weird role because he can play the villain and then he can play the good guy too. Hela though, very strong. Well, very. She was such a powerful antagonist. I mean, able to destroy the hammer. Who does that? Who can destroy the hammer? Her powers were immense. I kind of wonder, actually, we didn't actually see her get killed by Surtur. And also, you have to think that Thor defeated Surtur by just removing the crown. So, it's not outside the realm of possibility that Hela could just defeat Surtur. So, that's something to think about as well. I don't actually know if she truly died. Maybe she didn't. Um, be kind of weird though if she's still around. Like, she's good for this movie, but like I can't really see her really continue on unless she's like fighting along Thanos or something like that. But as far as this movie goes, um, yeah, really all I can say is just like strength. It's just she beat up the army. She got rid of Thor's eye. She, destroyed the hammer. She killed the Valkyrie. I mean, she was ruling worlds, and whatnot. Yeah, so um, she established herself as a threat very early on. And if Thor didn't get, like, that find his inner strength or whatever it was, then Hela would have won. Surtur was just kind of there. It's kind of funny because he's kind of there, and he's kind of a. There's something about him that was like he looked menacing. It's almost like that breaking the fourth wall thing, making fun of himself. It's like, man, this guy looks really menacing, and it turns out that he was something of a pushover. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Thor beat him easily, got the horns or whatever I call it, the crown and whatnot. Hulk looked like he was gonna beat him up too, you know. But at the same time, he was also the one that caused Ragnarok as well. So, but it's kind of cool that they used him. They saw him in the beginning, and that set the scene for how to to solve the problem as well. So I always like that, like, continuity or connection that they have. Hulk, it's funny to hear Hulk speak as Hulk. He's just like he's very much like a man child. And just his like banter with Thor was pretty funny. Um, the immense testosterone that's going on between the two is kind of funny. No, I'm stronger. No, I would have beat you. You know what I mean? It just, but Hulk was pretty much um like I kind of knew that the Hulk. I didn't know if he was gonna fight against Hela, but I kind of suspected that there was gonna have some sort of like super strong monster or like right hand man or henchman that Hulk's gonna have to fight. And then when Fenris came along, I was like, oh yeah, Hulk is fighting that guy, or excuse me, not that guy, but Hulk's fighting that monster. You know what I mean? It's like Thor's not gonna do it. Loki's not gonna do it. Hulk's gonna do it, But it was cool seeing him fight against Thor. I thought that the fight scene in the Coliseum was really cool. Um, it's kind of cool that has he's not super one dimensional. It really is just like, hey, people love me here and hate me on Earth. I'm not going back to Earth. I want to stay here where I'm pretty much people revere this guy. So like he had some layers to him actually, and it wasn't just like the big green monster that can beat up other big monsters. Um, but yeah, when he turned to Bruce Banner, it was kind of funny. Yes, Banner was such. He's such a bystander. You know what I mean? It's just like where am I? I'm in this world. He has no powers. Um, he's just kind of lost. He's wearing Tony Stark's clothes. He tries to be cool and just literally falls flat on his face. I mean, literally falls flat on his face when he tries to be cool. It's like it's a, it's like I'm gonna fight. He's gonna fight the Fenris. Yeah, yeah, he's gonna fight Fenris. Jumps out of the plane or whatever, the ship or whatever it was. Land just like pretty much on his face onto the bridge, and then becomes Hulk, of course. But like, yeah, Banner was something of comic relief. I mean, he had his role, but like throughout the movie, Banner by himself just seems kind of like a bystander. Uh, Scrapper 142. I liked her. I liked the Valkyrie outfit. I thought that was really cool. She was kind of layered as well in the sense of just like, yeah, she's Asgardian, she's a Valkyrie, and like the last of them apparently. And she left. She just couldn't really deal with the fact that like, I guess, I'm supposing that like she's the last. She survived, and everyone else died, in a sense, and it's like she's just kind of running away from that, and it's just kind of cool, things just kind of come full circle. She's serving the royalty and whatnot, fighting Hela with Thor, things just kind of went full circle with her, so that's pretty cool. She was a cool character too, um, good ally, very powerful. Like I said, I liked her outfit. um, yeah, she was pretty cool. I actually kind of wonder if she's going to be in Infinity Wars because she was a cool character. I like the Grandmaster. I thought he was a funny guy. He's like kind of a villain, but kind of not because he's just kind of like he was I can't really describe it. He wasn't particularly violent himself per se. You know, he seemed to have some level of reason, but like obviously he wasn't a good guy, and forced these people into a life of being gladiators for him. But like for the most part, like he was a bad guy, but he didn't come across necessarily as like he did evil, but he didn't come across as an evil person per se. So that was a pretty interesting dynamic. Um, Scourge, also a very funny guy in the beginning, but like it's kind of cool seeing him throughout the whole movie because it's just kind of like he didn't want to do what Hela ordered him to do, and by the very end, he sacrificed his life so that the ship can, escape. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. Scourge, yeah, like he was always on like it kind of seemed like he was always walking that line where it's like throughout the whole movie I'm like thinking like, okay, is he just gonna full on like be like Hela's executioner, or is he gonna join up with Thor? Because he didn't even have a great like first meeting with Thor. It's just kind of like Scourge was just like hanging out with the women. When Thor needed him to activate the bridge. They didn't have a great first meeting, but it turned out at the end that Scourge, you know, did the right thing and was loyal. Uh, Heimdall played a big role in here too. It's interesting. I was under the impression that this movie was gonna have the last Infinity Stone. So, like, there were rumors that, like, on his armor, Heimdall actually had the last Infinity Stone. Or maybe Hela would have it, or something to that nature. So, you know, he's still around. Once again, I kind of wonder if he plays any role in the Infinity Wars as well. And it was good that the Asgardians had someone strong to kind of help them out while Thor was gone, because yeah, they were pretty hopeless without Heimdall pretty much, especially finding someone like Hela and her army of the undead and whatnot. Anyways, I mean, you're gonna need someone like Heimdall to kind of like rescue people. um as far as this whole movie goes, the Thor movies have generally been pretty much fantasy. This one was a lot different, and I really liked it. It's different in a good way. It wasn't pure fantasy. There was a lot of sci-fi going on, and just a lot of humor. It didn't really have a definitive genre. I'd actually say it's more. I mean, I guess it's like sci-fi fantasy, but it really mixed more of I thought that it kind of went a lot more with the sci-fi this time around, with going to different planets, um, and especially around the middle, and not as much in the fantasy swords, shields, kings, queens, and whatnot. I mean, there's still a lot of that here, but yeah, it kind of had this mix of like sci-fi, fancy, comedy, action. It definitely ran the gamut, and it just had this really awkward humor where it's like they really knew to make fun of themselves. They really knew when to break the fourth wall sometimes, um, and it's almost like they're kind of like the characters are almost like in on the joke too, in a sense, where it's just kind of like, um, whether it's the beginning where like the chain, like Thor is just kind of like spinning in place, and while the bad guy is trying to have this like really serious bad guy conversation with the guy, and that was funny. Or Bruce Banner trying to be cool, and then it's just like falling flat on his face, or you know, um, just arguing who's the strongest and whatnot. It was just, it was really different, but it like different in like a really good way. I really like the humor. I'm very curious to see where the action was good. The tournament was really cool between Hulk and Thor, and then the final battle was pretty neat as well. Scourge sacrificing his life. They're fighting the undead army. Hulk's fighting Fenris. Loki or Thor and 142 are fighting Hela. Like Loki kind of helps out with his, he has to go get the horns and whatnot. I thought everything was just kind of well done. And once again, now we're like really drifting into the Infinity Wars, seeing how it's very interesting in the sense of like how what is everyone's role in this? Who's gonna have a bit part? You know what I mean? Is 142 gonna be there? Is she gonna fight alongside Thor, or is she just gonna be like oh, the spaceship gets destroyed and she's in it? Like she dies in the beginning. I don't know. You know, Loki, if he has one of the Infinity Stones, is he going to join Thanos? I mean, that's always the thing there. I mean, if you have a thing where you have like the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy, um, that's a lot of superheroes fighting Thanos by himself. Are they all just going to group up on Thanos, or is Thanos going to have some henchmen with them? Um, I don't know. So, and once again, where's the fifth Infinity Stone as well? They found four, but if I'm not mistaken, they didn't find a fifth, unless it's in the Black Panther movie. I thought it was going to be in this movie. Maybe it'll reveal itself in the Infinity Wars movie. I don't know, but I'm very curious about that as well. I mean, what can you say? And is Adam Warlock going to play a role in this too? Like because at the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they mentioned him, so um, that's going to be interesting as well. I'm just really curious to see like where Thor fits in into the Infinity Wars. So we're diving headfirst into it, like literally, where it's like you're encountering like what seems to be Thanos' ship. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Uh, as Yeah, we'll just pretty much see what happens. So that's all for today. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel. Thank you for listening to this movie review. Next time I will have a manga review for Skip Beat Volumes 3 and 4, a movie review for The Breadwinner, and a movie review for The Justice League. Thank you, and until next time.